Hey y'all, Phil here. Just wanted to make this little video because my furnace is no longer working. I turn it on, fan comes on, it lights off, runs for about 1 or 2 seconds and quits, waits for 1 or 2 seconds, comes back on, lights back off, 1 or 2 seconds, then quits, and then it comes back on and does it again. 3 attempts, which from what I've read is normal. That's the normal cycle. And so I got to take this panel off here. There's 6 screws in the panel. The 6th screw on this one happens to be under the exhaust port, so you got to take the exhaust port off to get to the 6th screw. So let me pull those off, and then we'll get inside and we'll talk about everything that's in there. Okay. Hey there. I sit before you embarrassed, happy, embarrassed, and feeling like an idiot. I was working on the heater, the furnace, as you know, and it's fixed. What happened was that I installed a gas stop check valve on my propane tank a while back, and you can watch that video here of me doing that. And what happened was, just a few days ago, well, probably a week or so ago now, I went and topped off the propane tank. And of course, when you fill your propane tank, the service person turns it off and then fills the tank and then usually turns it back on. Well, what I found was that the tank was turned off, and so when I started to run the heater before, it used up what little propane was in the line. That's why it fired off initially and then went out and would not refire because there was no propane left. So I had to turn the valve back on, and then on that gas stop valve I had to push the plunger on the gauge itself, and which initialized it and put pressure back in there, because when it got low pressure, of course, it cut off and no gas would flow. And so all this time I thought that the heater was out. It wasn't. There's no gas or no propane flowing to the furnace. Before I started working on the furnace, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on different things that could be wrong with the furnace. And what I found was that, let's say basically you divide the furnace in half. Of course, this is an Atwood, and which is now Dometic. But basically you divide that furnace in half. And let's just call the left half of it the blue half, and the right half of it the red half. What happens is, when you turn the furnace on, the fan will come on and spins up. Usually 15 to 30 seconds depending on the board and the actual furnace. But that's designed for the furnace to blow air through the combustion chamber and blow, if there's any fumes or anything in there, blow them out before it actually ignites. And once that happens, a signal is sent to a little switch on the blue side, which is called the sail switch, S-A-I-L switch. and it's a little switch. It's got a little lever on it, and when the fan spools up, air pressure pushes on this switch and makes the circuit. So that's the first safety feature that the furnace has built in. Then from there, it goes over to a high temp switch, which senses whether, there's high temp, and so it would shut down because of an over temp or a high temp condition. So those are two safety features that are built in to the system. And then if both of those are working correctly, the signal is sent over to the gas valve, and on the gas valve you have two solenoids, and the signal then goes to the solenoids. They open up, allowing propane into the combustion chamber. Once it goes into the combustion chamber, then the igniters ignite it, and it burns off. And what I thought was happening with mine was, I thought the first time it went through, it lit off, but it usually only lasted 1 to 2 seconds, and then it quit. And then of course the board has a built-in cycle thing in there, and it tries 3 times before it completely shuts down. So I thought it was getting the light off in all 3 attempts before it shut down. But what I found out when I pulled the cover off and I got down there and put my ear down next to it and listened to it, the fan came on. You could hear the click of the solenoids as they opened up to let the propane into the combustion chamber, and then you could also smell a little bit of propane. Of course, propane doesn't smell, but it's the additive that they put in there. But you could smell that, and then you could hear the igniters going click, 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 like that. And the first time, with a little bit of fuel in there, it lit off. The second time it tried it, it didn't light off. I heard the click, I heard the igniter, click, and the third time, same thing. Click on the solenoids and the igniters, but it didn't light off. And it dawned on me at that point, well, wait a minute, I'm not getting fuel in there. It's not lighting off. So I stopped and thought about it. Well, what I did was when I was getting ready to pull the thing off, I came in and I turned the stove on. I turned one of the burners on the stove, lit it, which burnt all the propane out of the line, so I would be ready. Not realizing that the valve, when I turned it off and then turned it back on to retest it, I didn't push the gas valve, the stop valve. Gas stop is what it's called. So I guess that's the whole point of this video here, is if you have one of those gas stops installed, after you have your propane tank filled, make sure that you check that and you push the button, excuse me, to prime it or purge it to get the gas back in the system. And I didn't realize that, and that's what caused my headache, thinking that the furnace was completely out, but it wasn't. It was just the gas was turned off. So like I said, happy because it's working, but feel like an idiot because I didn't double check that or didn't know that. So purge that gas stop, you got to push in on the gauge, and it purges it or equalizes, lets the pressure goes through. So that's that. But overall I'm happy because I got it working. Feel a little silly because I didn't check that before I went through all the trouble of watching 3 hours of YouTube videos on how to fix the furnace. But I did learn a lot about the furnace. So you can watch those YouTube videos there. People have their furnaces out and they talk about all the ways to check them and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people will say, oh, it's your sail switch. Well, if you're getting propane and light off at all, it's not the sail switch, because it's otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear the solenoids click open, or you wouldn't hear the igniters. So it's either the blue side that's not working, the sail switch and the high temp switch, or the red side of the propane solenoids getting propane into the burner or the igniters working. But it's working. I'm happy. Just feel dumb. So, until later, Phil out.
Hey there, Phil here. First of all, I'd like to thank you for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. And please, if you like my channel, go ahead and subscribe and get all the upcoming videos. And don't forget, give me a thumbs up if you like the videos. And also, leave me a comment. I appreciate it.